the thing is, we don't have a framework for like making TV widgets.
Mm,
So most of the stuff in Big Screen was kind of created from scratch.
mm,
So like we have, yeah, we do have Plasma Desktop and elements, so you can kind of draw
mm,
panel backgrounds and shadows and things like that, and that's what the original port had.
mm,
Um, but yeah, like I noticed that we actually had a designer who worked on big screen mockups a few years ago,
mm, mm,
and
mm,
those like kind of inspired me to copy that and port it over.
mm,
And then I decided to try to kind of make like a baseline, like a small framework for making controls,
mm, mm.
so that we can standardize the way that we're making like settings modules and apps and things like that. But yeah, like for example, if you're making a desktop app right now
Mm.
for KDE or for Plasma Desktop or Plasma Mobile, we have Kirigami, we
Mm,
have
mm.
all the cute styling. We have like a well thought out way of aligning controls of, this is a page, you have page actions, you have this is how you lay out the page and things like that. We don't really have that for big screen, so like I can see it as like a single developer who works on the shell.
Mm, mm.
It's overwhelming. You kind of have to work on making things work, but then you
Right.
also have to work on the UI and making things consistent. It's definitely not easy to do.
Mm.
So
So with
yeah,
what's like available now, like so putting big screen aside for just a moment, if you're developing a application with Plasma in mind, is and you want it to say be an application that works on desktop and on mobile, like how does that currently work? And then how would you bring big screen into that?
yeah. So currently, if we're talking about specifically making like a Kirigami cute
Yeah,
quick
yeah,
app,
yeah.
because you can still make cute widgets apps, which is kind of
Right,
the
right.
traditional way, like Dolphin and console are still using that. But
Yeah,
if you're trying to make,
there is that issue
yeah,
with Plasma where there's like 3 or 4 different ways to make interfaces, which
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
which is creates like a theming. I know
That's a
there's
whole
like
different topic.
yeah, I know there's like efforts to sort of unify the theming. Um, we'll see where those go. Hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully it's not like, hey, we have 87 standards. We made a standard to unify the standards. Now we have 88 standards.
Yeah, it's not an easy problem, and um there's some work in that direction. That's
Mm,
I guess what I can say.
mm,
But yeah, that's a really big topic. But yeah, specifically talking about kind of the intended way nowadays to make new apps, which is Qt Quick and Kirigami.
mm, mm,
Kirigami handles a lot of the convergent stuff for you.
mm,
I mean, in recent years, we've tried to make desktop apps and mobile apps not that different in terms
mm,
of layouts. Uh, like nowadays, like the page layout is exactly the same, the toolbars are exactly the same. There's so like when you design a desktop app, you can kind of reasonably expect it to be 90% of the way there to be mobile friendly.
mm, mm, mm.
There's maybe small things like instead of a sidebar, like on desktop, maybe you want to use a bar like on the bottom.
Right, right,
Uh,
right.
we call it a navigation tab bar, but you're probably familiar with it on phone apps. They usually have like a bar on the bottom with like a few different categories you can kind of click.
Right. Yeah. Yep. Yep.
So yeah, like things like that you can kind of insert yourself, but
Mhm,
um, yeah, in general, it's not too hard to make things mobile friendly with
mhm,
Qgami and QQuick.
mhm,
Now for TVs, I am a little bit. It's a lot harder to just make Kirigami and or yeah to kind of adapt Kirigami to TV apps because
right.
I feel like the layout of TV apps is generally like way different from mobile and
Mhm,
desktop apps. First of all, you need a really like kind of big commitment to keyboard navigation.
mhm,
Um, like on desktop, a lot of apps, if you want to go between views, you'd use tab to kind of switch your keyboard focus between views. And then you also mix in like arrow navigation within a view to navigate. But like on a TV, we want the entire view to be navigable with just arrow keys. And it also has to be like all the elements have to be like super big.
mhm,
Pop-ups have to be nice and large. Buttons have to be large. The way you kind of lay out things, you don't want a lot of things on the screen.
mhm,
So that's why kind of there's no concrete things we have in this direction yet for adding like and TV support to Kirigami, but I was thinking of just making like a completely separate UI for TV apps for now. Um, that's the approach that I've seen other companies like Google and Apple both have like their own separate like controls and everything for TV app. So I was thinking if they're going that direction and we have less resources, we might as well also try to not like fit TV stuff into like our current framework. And for now, like it's easier for us to just make our own controls and deal with everything ourselves. Yeah.
Right, especially as it's kind of it exists as a project, but it's not really like a mainline thing. So trying to fit it in there and try to get everything else to work with it, it's like you've got to like deal with the other things that are already kind of like desktop is the obviously the main focus, and then mobile is like a secondary focus, and then trying to bring another thing in there that like kind of doesn't really have a life at the moment. It's like kind of trying to be like revived. Like trying to get that into there would be very difficult.
Yeah, it would just be significantly more work, and maintenance wise, you need to make sure that if something gets added for like a for if someone from Plasma Desktop wanted to add something to Kirigami that's for desktop, we need to make sure that it works on mobile and TV now. So
Right.
just a lot more overhead, right?